Today's topic is promotions. So if you guys have any questions, inquiries, comments about promotions, go ahead and click the react or the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and you can raise your hand to ask a question. And obviously, we can also take any other questions too. It's not limited to just promotions. Also, too, if anyone's ran any really successful promotions or maybe like new subscriptions, since subscriptions are very quite easy and smart and easy money. So you can share your experience.
Okay, well, River, you asked, can you tell us a little more about subscriptions? Can you tell us a little bit more about subscriptions? This feature is new to me. So I mean, yeah, so initially you're going to create it just like a promotion, but then you're also going to have an item type involved with it. So you'll have to add that to your price list. Um, Most of the time people use this for wash and fold or sometimes laundry, um, based on piece count. It's really dependent on how you want to do it though. Um, there's not a whole lot to go into with it unless if somebody has a real problem with it. But generally it's based on a month-to-month basis. So once you hit X amount that has been done, if you have it be piece count specific, say for every 10 pieces, $100 or something crazy like that. Then after they've reached their limit, you can also set it to decrease to, okay, now they'll do 50% off from there forward until that subscription cycle ends. And then it's going to move on to if they have auto renewal, it'll renew again the next month. And then cycle will start over again. Looks like Aaron has a question.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yep.
We have a couple things. So we do use the subscription model. She asked for examples. We use a wash, dry, fold subscription for, we have a family plan, which includes four of the large, is it 4?
Mhm.
Or is it 8?
It's 8.
It's 8 of the large cleaner supply bags per month. And I think with the family plan, you get 2 blankets as well. The cool thing about Smart is they actually kind of subtract it from the total number. So as they work through the month, they work through their 8 bags. If they do that in the first 2 weeks, then all of a sudden they start getting charged for the plan by poundage. It also subtracts the blankets that come in for the family. With the individual plan, it's 4 bags a month, so it's half the amount, and 1 blanket. So it's worked really well for us. I think we're in the Northwest. I think we're at like how much? 289, I think, for the family plan a month, and 159, 160 for the individual plan. So
The only problem I think that we've come up with is if a client requests a pickup for their bag like on the 31st or the last day of the month, if that bag is not invoiced on that date, it will start taking it off of the next month. And that can be really confusing for us and for the client. So just a heads up for anybody who's considering doing this, keep that into consideration. And you just kind of have to really pay close attention to when the last date is of their plan, their subscription plan. If they end up bringing it in on the last day, to make sure you invoice that day so it takes it off the plan for that current month that they're in.
otherwise, you have to come on the back end and just
Yeah.
fix it for credit or whatever.
Yeah, that's a very big tip too. We've had a couple people bring that up to us having issues. And yeah, you're exactly right. It falls in between that, or almost in between, right at the end and then right at the beginning of that next one. And so it ends up taking that last month, which most of the time they were already full or about to be full. So then they end up getting charged, and that begins complaints from.
And you just have to be aware.
customers.
I don't want to make that like something that would scare someone off, because I think it is a really cool resource that is available through Smart that people may not know about. Then I also want to talk about marketing. I don't know how many people like in this live are on your marketing plan, but it would be really cool if we could build some campaigns through the same type of meetup, so we could actually walk through some campaign building together. Um, I'm kind of an older dude, and sometimes it's a little confusing as you go through all the. There's so many options in there that you have to select exclusions and all that stuff to really learn more about using that. And we just signed up for it again. We used to use it before. It was kind of like self, uh, something that you have to kind of do yourself. I think it's cool that you can do it yourself because then, if you're having a slow week, you could just go on and make a campaign. Um, and it's just a little bit overwhelming. So,
Yeah, hey, this is Denise. I think I've chatted with you in the past. That's a great idea. I will mention it to my team, and yeah, we could definitely do a live call like this where we go through a couple of suggested campaigns, and then you guys can even give us some suggestions of what you'd want to see built. And also on the KPI side, that I don't know if that's a place also where you would want some help, just because we do offer the ability for you to customize your sending lists, and building a KPI can sometimes be a little confusing.
yeah,
So
absolutely. My son
yeah,
can do it.
yeah. We
I
all are
don't.
still learning about KPIs.
Sure.
There's but yeah, that's a great idea. I'll definitely pass that along. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm out.
Hey, if I could just add a little something to that about the concern with subscriptions or I'm sorry, subscription orders which come in on the last day of the month. There are a few things we can do training wise and configuration wise to help mitigate that. One of the concerns, the very first thing that comes to my mind is it sounds like it might be the case that the drivers do not always create orders when they complete a pickup. Sometimes they leave it for the detailers to create the order instead. Now that's not necessarily the issue for Morels, but that's one thing to look out for. Another thing is that depending on the nature of the promotion and what it's targeting, it may in some cases it will be able to apply to the order as soon as you create it. In some cases it needs to wait until you've detailed and closed the order because it won't know whether the order qualifies for the subscription until that point. So depending on the subscription, we may be able to make some minor adjustments that can help ease that transition to the next month and make sure that the promotion's applied correctly.
Yeah, when the driver does detail or not detailed order, but they do make a work order when they do the pickup, but it doesn't, if you actually detail it after their subscription expired, like the day after, for instance, we weigh the items and put the, detail what it was. Then it does actually go on to the next month of subscriptions, or it expired their subscriptions for that month. So
yeah, I want to say if it's a wash and fold order type, I think the subscription will be able to apply to it before when you create it. I think that's where that difference comes in. But if you want to look at that closer, I suggest putting a support ticket and we can absolutely evaluate where that is and find that weak point and get that fixed.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. You're welcome.
Okay, and looks like we had a message from Jody in the chat. Is there a way to limit promos to particular items? Example, 20% off pants. Yes, you can. You can do it with any item. You can do it with department specific. You can go down a large rabbit hole of however you want to do it, really. But yes, you can. Okay, looks like we had Marlene first, and then we'll go to Jay.
Hi, guys. Can you show me best way to send a client photos of their garments when they don't want to log into their account and look on their own? So how do I send them the photos from Smart?
Yeah, so I actually just brought this up yesterday.
Oh, sorry, I thought I missed it.
No. As in, I brought this up as an issue. There's no good way to do this, especially in Smart. There's not a good way yet, and I'm hoping that they add it soon. What I'm looking to do is I would like them to be able to do download, to be able to download that image, and so you can email it over or text it. Hopefully, that would be a nice to have, but really just shooting for email first, and then we'll work on the the messaging portion of it. But yeah, there's no good way to do it right now.
Well, I think texting would be first as opposed to emailing, because most of our communication with clients is 95% text. So
Yeah.
now we're just taking a picture and texting from our phones. So, okay, not there
Yeah.
yet.
Yep. And the reason I mentioned the email first is because there's more hoops to jump through with Twilio whenever trying to send media in a message. So that's what we're just trying to get around right now.
Okay, one other question, and I came on late, so if I missed the answer and it was about we're running a promotion, let's say, and we miss you 20% off. Is there any way that, any place to put that one-time promotion in the pickup so that people on my team don't miss it? And let's say the client has 5 individual orders that are all going to get the promotion. Any way to make that happen?
Okay. So from what I'm understanding is that you have two different scenarios, right? You have
Yes.
one that you would like the promotion to be able to be added at pickup.
Well, when the client calls in to schedule a pickup, I
Mhm.
have I have a 20% we miss you promotion. I want to make sure it gets used. So if I'm the only one that got that message, besides putting in a special note, special delivery, making sure it becomes a pop-up, is there a better way to do that?
I don't think there's a better way to do that off the top of my head, because I think it's difficult regardless with the pickup to really make sure that it gets covered. Other
Okay.
than having the customer be able to add it directly from their customer app. But
Mhm.
obviously some customers aren't keen on doing that, so it could be a challenge for
Right.
you. But no, I think in that scenario, it's more difficult to do. As for your other thing, if they have 5 orders but only one promotion, there is a way that you can have all 5 of those orders have that one promotion on it. You just have to link them all together.
Okay, how do you do that? I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's more in depth, as in a couple settings that we'd have to turn on and probably modify the promotion depending on what it is. So that I would like you to send in a ticket for, so we could make sure
Sure.
that either A, you already have it, or B, that you
Okay.
have the capability to do it though.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, let's go over to Jay.
Yeah, my question is, I'm paying attention to Google Analytics with all that marketing. How is this feature booking adaptable and with your promotions and online presence and so forth like that in Google?
Jay, can you repeat that again? The
Okay,
booking feature?
yeah, the booking feature. How is that implemented with promos and stuff? I mean, I keep seeing it, but how is that done?
So anything that's
Or
on Google is really going to be on Google only.
right.
The booking doesn't go back into Smart.
Okay.
Yeah. So whatever email address you have set up with your Google business profile, you would probably just get an alert into your email inbox like, oh, such and such person requested a booking. That's about as far as we can go at the moment. So with the reviews platform, you can reply to reviews, but that's really the only connection that we've created right now onto your Google business profile.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
That answers my question. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Let's see, I think Mike, we've got next.
Hello.
Hey,
I think we've talked about this in the past, but just an update on releases. I know I tried to type some in and worked with you guys, but they were too long for too many characters, I guess. But it'd be really nice to be able to send email or text a release and then get a response back from the customer. And then we have documentation of it on file. Is that an option? Is this something working on, or am I dreaming?
Hey, Mike, I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay, because it said I was cutting out before. Okay. Yeah, this is actually the way that we prefer you do it in Smart. Instead of printing paper and having people sign a paper document and then you lose it or you leave the receipt in the sun and then you go back and the whole receipt's black because it got exposed to the sun or something. So yeah, the idea here, we actually have already some templates in Smart, and you can add, edit, or remove these too. So let me just share my screen. Okay, none of my screens are coming up. Got it. I think I got it. So if we go into settings here, and then business settings,
Right.
and then communication templates, and we can scroll down. We have consent to process. It looks like you might have or someone changed this in here, but it's called release forms typically. Again, you can edit these, so it looks like San Francisco edited theirs. And you can add, edit, or remove any of these. So the idea here is like, so if we go to do a test account, and okay, maybe an account with a phone number. Okay, we click on their phone number. Let me minimize my little Zoom thing here that's taking up my entire screen. And you just click over here to templates. And then you can find your category here. So the consent to process, and you can have all different ones, you know, heavily beaded prom dresses, whatever you want, wedding gowns in here. And of course, again, you can edit whatever you want. Anything within the brackets will get automatically filled in. So I simply would just scroll down here. Again, forgive me, my screen is being covered up with Zoom stuff. And I just click that text or email button and it fills in everything for me. And of course, I can type other things in here too. And then typically at the end, you can add something like this. I've read the message and, you know, the above conditions by replying to this message. Our generic templates end with reply proceed. So then if that person replies proceed, then it's in their contact log. I've looked at some contact logs and I've seen them go back as far as 5 years. So I feel like that's very sufficient.
Why do we make our own then?
Yeah, so let's go back into those settings there. So we'll do settings, business settings, communication templates. And we just click add template. And you select the category. So again, yours might be called release forms.
Right.
And this subject would be if you were sending it via email. And then you have your body here too. So like even if you have like super old paper ones that you still have people sign, you can just copy it word for word and then add to the bottom, please reply, proceed. And again, you just use these brackets down here to fill in certain information. So hi, and then customer name. So it fills in automatically for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I think we're all caught up and there's no other questions currently. Make sure I didn't miss any in the chat though. I think there was one, Enrique. We're not fully understanding your question. So I'm going to go to Enrique first and then we'll jump over to you, Brian.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. So kind of, this is again kind of what Gina was going through with the guy asked about customer release form. But what I'm doing and what I'm asking is, I'm doing it about promotions. So I put in the chat, this is what we're running, right? And I'm doing that manually. I just saw that with smart marketing, when the texts are sent, it's orange. So we don't have that. And this might be kind of a dumb question. Is there a way where I could still send it out all at once without smart marketing? Does that make sense? And then also, because I have seen that, like, because I know how to make promotions in the back end and I know how to make them be like, that's the promotion that I want. And how is there a way when an order is like open, when we send that promotion, it just is added like automatically rather than me doing it manually? Like, so I'm sending out the text, the customer saying yes, they come in, and then I'm doing it manually. How can I do that all at once?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I would definitely urge you to just get on marketing.
Okay.
Two things, because some people have tried this in the past and it has instantly blocked their number through for their what are they called? All the servicers like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, stuff like that. They'll block your number, and so you
Mhm.
won't be able to send out any messages
Mhm.
because your number is not meant to send out marketing messages. There's a specific number that we have to configure in order to have it go through
Even if you
completely.
have Twillo, even if you because you guys manage, even if you guys manage a Twillo, because you guys are the okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, so right now with everybody who's just using POS messaging for the way that it's supposed to, that
It
is
still
only
works.
meant
I'll
to.
still get those reviews come in, those customers come in, even if it's manually. And I just want to do it more at scale, but I just don't have necessarily the option, right? Or the owner doesn't want to go with smart marketing. They just goes, he just like, no, let's kind of do our own. And I just kind of want to figure out if there's a way where I'm like, oh, doing it on. And then I think smart marketing is a really, really good idea. It's just kind of, that's kind of what I'm working with.
I I think one of the important things to remember about marketing too, and especially for what you're trying to do, Enrique, is that we we're really going to optimize it for you. And really right now you're losing money in all of the labor. And a lot of people when they come on marketing, especially the trigger campaigns, which is exactly what you're trying to do, you're just doing it manual right now.
Mm-hmm.
You will your revenue just from enabling all of those things will outweigh most of the time what you're paying in your monthly payment. So for most people, it's a no-brainer because if they're making more than what they have to spend on it monthly, it's working for them. So that might be a way. I don't know if like you just said, you might have to convince the owner or something. I don't know if that's what I heard you say.
Just kind of, because I'm doing it essentially, right, where I'm like, I can send out those messages and I try to time it to where it's like that customer is kind of like live, like, oh, this customer came in, they took care, I can send it right now. And
Yeah,
that, and
that's crazy.
and I can see, but I also see the results. I see the reviews coming in. I'm like, wow, I sent out all of these reviews based on, and I'm like, and I see them coming in. So it does
Yeah.
work even if it's manually. But I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you need to optimize to be able to work for you and actually generate good profit off of it. Otherwise, we're losing you to all the labor, Enrique.
No, yeah, no, yeah. And I think it's a good idea. I just I need to make sure that once if we do just sign up with, because you guys have three campaigns, right? The campaign, the reviews, and then the social. And it's like we
We
don't
have
necessarily
actually even more than that too, that we can
probably.
go over. But at the end of the day, if it's a revenue generator, most people say it's a no-brainer. So you might want to slide that to the owner.
Definitely.
And Enrique, as part of when you sign up for marketing, you'll get a review with one of our marketing experts. So he'll kind of look at your customer base, your revenues, you know, dig into your business a little bit and see where those pockets of growth are, and really show you how you can optimize. And, normally when someone signs up for marketing, we're able to offer a month free. So your second month would be free. So you could always try it for a couple months and know that, you're going to get a little bit of a deal there, and then you can step off. We don't make you sign a contract. You're not locked in for 12 months, 2 years,
Yeah, no,
whatnot.
I think
Yeah.
from what I see, I think it's a really good tool. It seems like a really cool, like good tool to use. I just need to make sure that we hop on if that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. And we're there to support you to, make sure you get your money's worth. Um, and make sure you're happy with it. So,
Thank you guys.
All right, awesome. Let's see. All right, and on to Brian.
Yes, just we've been doing inventory for a while, and we do it on a regular basis. I'm just not. So we go through the scanning, and I think it works, or at least we catch stuff. But I'm not fully understanding some of the from the screen itself, some of the metrics or things uh, that I'm seeing. Right. So we go ahead, we do the scanning, and we scan individually each location, whether they have something or not. I still have a ton of missing bags, and it doesn't look like the inventory ever completes, at least from my perspective. Um, so I don't know if we could if we had a few minutes to kind of walk me through, even if you want to use my screen, what it should look like and what really I should be looking at.
Okay, give me a minute. We can pull that up for you. And it's good that you said that we could use yours. Yeah, it can be confusing, and definitely let us know if it does seem to be frozen. So there is sometimes it does happen where it does get frozen for people and it doesn't update, even though they say we did it, and there could be some missing things. Just let us know and we can fix it.
Yeah,
Or we
it's
can
just
look and see what's wrong with it.
yeah, I just automatically assumed I was doing something wrong, so I didn't.
No, this is a good question. Just give me a second.
So I just want to take a moment here to make sure, since we have an audience as well, and you brought it up, just make sure everybody's clear on the basic process for scanning your inventory. So SMART it's kind of an intelligent system with respect to inventory. I mean, in a lot of respects, but for inventory, it's kind of there's some logic in the system that detects, it infers that you're scanning inventory, and the way it does that is it looks at a specific rack. And if you scan all the locations on that rack in a single day, then it interprets that as taking inventory. And the rack is the smallest unit. You could do more than one rack in a day, but you're not going to get a full inventory report unless you do at least one full rack. And then you'll get the report for that rack. If it seems that if you think you've scanned all the locations, but the inventory report still doesn't populate, or it doesn't give you today's date as the last completed inventory, it's possible there's a little something going on in the back end that which we can actually look at. Or it's also possible that you have slightly more locations than you're aware of. I've seen clients who have, say, 100 locations on their rack, but they only have 80 stickers, 80 labels, right? So there's 20 locations that they can't scan because they don't have labels for them, so they can never finish an inventory unless we correct that. So there's a few different things that can happen that get in the way there, but it looks like Tyler's just got his stuff ready here, so I'll let him take over from there. And hit me up if you have a question.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, so is this the rack that you're looking at most of the time?
Yeah, it's the only one we have. It's the only one I think we use. That to the point that Mike was making.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So for this one, it looks like total today, or the last time that this has been open, has been 73 locations out of the whole 185.
And the last one we did, it was last week, so I didn't. So but I usually hit the reset button before we start, and we go ahead and start from scratch. Or at least that's what I think is supposed to happen. So.
Yeah, no, that's perfect actually. As long as, so some people where they get stuck is the reset button doesn't show for them. That's when they run into issues. But generally, before you start, I would recommend hitting that reset button to start completely fresh, start over.
Yeah.
I was hoping to actually see missing bags here, but essentially missing bags would be you have orders that the system believes are still racked, or the system shows are still racked to that location. Whether or not they're still there that's why you're doing the inventory, right? So if I scan location 010 right there, we scan that and everything that's on it, and then 3 items populate here in the missing bags area, but it won't show until everything's done at the end of the day. Or until you've scanned all 185 locations.
So I guess that's my concern right now, because because I'm looking at it, it's telling me, or at least this is how my interpretation of it is that we're missing 174 bags. And then I go, okay, fine, I got to go find them. And I would assume missing bags is where I'd see 174 things I got to go find. Right? Is that?
Yeah. Hey, Brian, it's Gina.
Hey, Gina.
So basically, that information is not going to display correctly until you've actually finished and completed the inventory. So if you come here and this says 73 out of 185, you need to go ahead and ignore everything else you're seeing. You need to make sure that all locations are done. that's when it exactly updates. So that 174 might be from like the last time you did it, which again, I highly doubt you have 174 missing bags. So it seems like we're missing a location. You can see too when Tyler hovers over the inventory location, see how it starts listing the missed ones. And you can see it ends with an ellipse. I have added a feature request to actually make that a lot better, so that people can see exactly what locations they missed. And because right now this would actually force you to put in a support ticket. You'd have no other
Okay.
choice but to call us and be like, hey, what else am I missing? Because I can't see it all. So that missing bag information is going to be completely wrong until it's actually completed. And if you
But
go there and you see 184 out of 185 and there's a location that you're not familiar with, that's exactly like Mike was talking about. You need to have us get rid of that so your inventory can finally actually complete.
all right. So
And you
right
can
right now we're thinking under. Where do I check to locate? Is it under storage? Is that it?
Yeah, Tyler, do you want to navigate over there? You realize too that there is some temp racks. So when Mike was saying each rack has its own inventory. So each box here is its own set of inventory. So you could just scan the Taylors at Main Street and that would be a full inventory. But yeah, so this looks like your main storage here.
Yeah, and we have it's two different racks.
Yep.
So
Yeah, see that's
this is all one store for us.
right. So it's one store and then they broke it down into different racks here. Like you have your like, and this is all the stuff too. Like you have to make sure that you scan all of these barcodes when you're doing that inventory. You can't just do the conveyor. You have to do house and found and aged. And if you're not using those anymore, then let's definitely get rid of them. But let's make sure
Yeah,
first.
so I think we do have to get rid of one. Okay,
Okay.
maybe that's what's causing it.
Yeah.
Because we have
Just be
to
careful in
do.
here. Only delete it if you really, really want it gone. It's a little hard to get back once it's deleted, if you want it again. So if you're a little iffy about it, definitely just put in a support ticket and we can go over it with you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to look to see if I can find out what, because I'm trying to get rid of we don't have a long rack anymore.
See, yeah,
Um,
there you go.
I'm just gonna try to see what's supposed to be on it before I delete it. Okay.
All
All right.
right.
So I'll figure that out. I'll work through it a little bit and then.
Yeah, there's definitely some updates that are needed, like definitely not ignoring that. The feature requests have been put in, but that's, the best way that we can really help you and to just say, make sure the labels you want on the rack are the labels that you want, and you should not have to reach out to support with inventory issues.
Yeah.
And on that note, I want to add one more thing about locations and inventory, because there's a weird edge case that some clients have in their system, and I just want you guys to be aware of it, in case, not specifically for Go Green, I don't think this applies to you, but just for the general audience here. If you have a rack that has a single location on it, only one location, usually this is like an A to Z location, and you just rack the one barcode every time you use that rack, then every time you rack even one bag to that rack, Smart thinks you did an inventory. So you're never going to have an accurate inventory report for that rack. The way we fix that is by giving it a second barcode, a second location. You do not hang that barcode on your conveyor, but you keep it handy somewhere, and you only scan it when you're doing inventory. That way, Smart sees, oh, most days you only scan one of the two locations, but on this particular day, you scanned both locations. So you finished scanning the whole rack, so that must have been an inventory, so I'll generate the report. So if anyone has an A to Z rack that they want to inventory, you're probably going to run into that issue. So feel free to reach out to support, and we'll set up just like a special inventory barcode for you for that rack.
So Mike, okay. So speaking of that, we have a kind of a slick rail. We call it a one rack or whatever, but it's a single look. It's a location in the storage at Main Street. Is that something we should do differently?
Oh, sorry, I was still muted there. So actually, Tyler, do you still have that up? Can you share again? I want to show you what I mean by rack versus location, just so we understand the way Smart classifies these terms. A rack in Smart is meant to represent a physical conveyor, right? Which is physically, logically, it's a unit, right? And then the conveyor has slots on it. Those are what we call locations, either slots or hooks or hangers or whatever. So this if in the top left of Tyler's screen here, where it says storage at Main Street, that represents a rack. It's labeled static conveyor because presumably it doesn't move. And in the main part of the screen here, to the right of that are the locations. Some of these are set up as intervals. So you'll see from 10 to 870, for example, is the first one. And some of them are individual locations, like the one that is the word one spelled out or long and so forth. All of those locations are part of that same rack. So when I refer to a rack that has one location, I mean, you literally would not see this list. You would only see one entry on this list, and it would usually it's A to Z. I'm not sure I've ever seen a single. Oh well, yeah, Taylor sometimes, and sometimes people have like a shelf location that they do like that, but that's usually not their main rack. When it's the main rack, in my experience, it's almost always A to Z. And just like I said, adding that second location. So we would have, you'd have an A to Z location and then another one that's probably just called inventory. And then when you do inventory, you scan that second location as well as everything on the first, and Smart will generate the report. Is that clarified a bit for you, Brian? It makes sense? I think you're still muted there.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I think at the end of the day, though, it feels like I need some work on the conveyors build out that we have, because
Sure.
we have two physical. So, and I mean, just in this case, like we have two physical racks that are movable. They're not static, right? And they have different like slots and that type of stuff. And then we have a one rack. We have some age that's more of a static slide on a sliding rail, and then we have a house which is kind of shelving for comforters and stuff like that. So all of that is built into the storage at Main Street static conveyor.
Okay, so it sounds like you're kind of talking about, you might like to rearrange that a little bit.
It feels
Reorganize it
like,
so that it
yeah,
makes a little more sense to you.
yeah, it feels like we should, we need, yeah, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
we can definitely help you with that. That's right up my alley. That's kind of stuff I do. So feel free whenever you like, put in a support ticket. Just mention that you want some help reorganizing your storage.
Yeah.
We can help you with that. And same for anybody else. If you feel like your storage is a little disorganized, or you'd just like to organize it better or differently, we can help you with that. All right.
Okay, I forgot who was next, but I'm gonna go with Zach next. And then we'll keep
Thanks,
moving.
Tyler. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Awesome. I don't know if we've talked about this before, and it's nothing we've talked about so far on this call, but I was curious about like credit card chargebacks. We've recently we just got like two like chargebacks for fraud. One was like from 6 months ago, another one was from a month ago, and I'll be submitting the report. I'm just curious, does Smart have an opinion? Is Apple Pay as secure or less secure relative to like card in hand? Any thoughts on that?
So from what I understand is that the most physical form of payment is using the chip.
The most secure?
Yeah, so from what I've heard is that, and this is from our department that always looks at this stuff, is that if they use a chip, then it is technically on the customer to prove how they didn't make that payment. So then it's no longer on the business to prove that, yeah, that person was in the store and made the payment. Really, all you need is a screenshot, or should, until, one piece of billing information is incorrect or the name is incorrect. Something little, whenever they don't have much to go on, they'll just usually nitpick and find one thing like, oh, that's the wrong address. We don't have that address displayed the same. And then you lose. But if they use a chip, then that person has to prove that they did not make that purchase because they had to push it in there. So As for your answer for Apple Pay, I don't think it's more secure. No.
Yeah, it's like, I guess the only way they could use, or it'd be a fraudulent card if they have the card in hand, is they literally stole the wallet.
Exactly. Yep. And can't really stop that from happening.
Yeah. I was just curious, is like, do people have like best practices on here to prevent? Like, is there anything we can do to prevent fraud?
I don't know. This has been a very common question, and it does seem that we've run into it more often. And it's not regardless of if you're using Stripe or First American or you have your own. They're the same regardless, and it's actually just global. A more uptick of people challenging their payments and just saying, "Hey, I don't want to pay for it, so I'm gonna say no." And oftentimes we've seen where customers are just blatantly lying to their companies because they can prove exactly who it is, or the person's come in multiple times and stuff like that. But
I feel like also, Zach, there's been some like social media trends too. I actually haven't seen any myself, but I've heard from others that allegedly there's some trends on social media where people, even younger generation are saying like, hey, if you file a chargeback, like you'll win because you use tap or something. Like people are genuinely trying to like tell people to do this. So it's awful. I've never seen fraud like this, to be honest. And I used to work in banking too, so that says something.
I'd like to add a little something there too. Just it sounded like there were some concerns about Apple Pay. Apple Pay actually is a biometric system. It uses on older phones thumbprint, or newer phones facial recognition. So it's considered quite secure, probably equal to, if not slightly more secure than the chip.
Interesting. So you'd be okay with unlimited Apple Pay then? Versus like it's just kind of different. I mean, it's a slightly different message from what Tyler just said. And Mike, I've also been told that recently by someone else that Apple Pay they think is more secure. And so
So
just
they're probably roughly neck and neck. It may depend kind of on who you ask, or I guess exactly if we're talking about expert opinions, exactly the way they evaluate it. But so if I were running a business, I'd be fine with Apple Pay. I'd be fine with chip. Those would be my preferred payment methods, most likely, and similar technologies.
yeah, we allow both right now. And but it's like if someone comes in and they're a new customer and it's a really large order and we catch it in time, I usually throw on a note to their account asking them like let's check their ID and verify that it matches like their credit card.
Mhm.
But also that can be a little tricky because you never like we're not trying to profile like our customers, but it's like you come in and you ask for a rush and you're dropping off a huge order um and then they'll try and load their credit card. They'll use the online portal to
Yeah.
add credit card, and then um that leads me to another thing. Like I wish Smart doesn't really notify us like when a new customer adds a credit card online. It's supposedly like when they change the credit card.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, but you're talking about when they first save the card?
yeah.
Yeah. I think we may have a feature request on file for that. I'd be surprised if we don't, but I'll try and dig it up and we'll see if we can get that pushed through. As far as regarding your comment about profiling, or you wanting to avoid the appearance of profiling while getting IDs when taking certain credit card payments, I think one good solution to that is to have a posted policy with a dollar amount minimum or maximum to invoke that practice, right? So if your order is over X dollars, we will ask for ID if you pay with a credit card, something like that, or check for that matter, of course.
Yeah, we discontinued accepting checks except for like our three
Yeah.
oldest customers who like just refused to get credit cards. But
Yeah, it's probably smart too on your part.
yeah, it was just easier.
Yeah.
But okay. All right. Thank you for discussing it with me.
You're welcome. And just as a final thought, overall, the secure payments it's a constant arms
Battle.
race. Yeah, yeah, it's an arms race. Just like any cybersecurity topic. There's you know, the white, what is it called? White hat side, the side that is trying to make the system more secure versus the black hat side, which is the people who are trying to break into the system, steal money. They're always competing and pushing the technology that they use, trying to get it, you know, build an advantage over the other side. So there do tend to be kind of swings, I think, where sometimes overall things just feel more secure, maybe for, you know, a while, a couple of years, whatever, and then sometimes it might swing the other way. And you know, when the bad guys find some new technology, and then the good guys figure out how to counter that technology, and things get more secure again. So it does kind of ebb and flow, and we might be in a, let's say, a waning period right now, based on some of the, you know, like the things Gina pointed out.
Well, I hope it decreases. So thank
Yeah,
you.
me too. Absolutely.
But I can see there are a lot more questions. You can go to the next person. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you.
All right, should be going over to Jay.
Going back to that inventory that y'all went over, the missing bags, you said when you hover over the missing bags, it's showing you the locations that are not scanned or locations where it's a missing bag. I'm confused.
Oh yeah, so it's showing the locations that still need to be scanned.
Got it. All right. That was my question.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Yeah, and just to be clear on that, it's you don't actually want to hover over the missing bags. You want to hover over that box in the top right that says inventory locations today. It's usually some number out of some other number, like a fraction. When you hover over that, it'll show you that little pop-up telling you what you haven't scanned. Yep. All right, who have we got next?
All right, looks like we've got Aaron next.
So I'm Shalina, but with Aaron here.
All
I
good.
have a question.
Oh, it's like I didn't raise my hand. I didn't
All
realize she
good.
did.
All good.
So my question also is about inventory. So we have not like updated our barcodes for a really long time, and there are some that are like damaged and we just don't use them anymore. We'll literally just scan the one next to it. So how do I create those barcodes or reprint the current ones that we have?
Hey, Shalina, it's Gina. Can you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
All right, so this is actually very easy. So if we go to settings and then storage, where we were before with Brian, you can click on any of your racks. So if I wanted to reprint all my shelves, let's say those are getting crusty, I just scroll down to the bottom of those locations. And again, forgive me, all of the Zoom stuff is covering my screen. And then you can click print barcodes. And you have two different sizes to choose from. So the bigger ones are usually for like shelves and like oddball areas. That's the 5160. You'll see these labels are much bigger. So you can buy those like off Amazon. It's actually the same number as 8160. So if you find both of those, they're the exact same. And then if you need the smaller ones, which are specifically for conveyors, you can see that picture gets a lot smaller. And that's the 5167, which is the same exact as 8167 as well. So you can either download them if you need to kind of like maybe email them to yourself and print them at home, or you can just click that print button, which I'm not going to do because it's going to open a whole nother box. But just pick your right thing and then read your printer on which way to put the paper in, and you should be good to go. You do have to print all of them, even if you only have like one location, you do have to print all of them.
Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll do Mike and then we will go to Brian.
Okay, concerning the updates that are going through, I think I've talked about this before, but is there any type of log that shows, okay, we've updated this, so we can see changes that are happening?
Honestly, Mike, I'm so glad you brought this up, and I'm so glad this is recorded. No, so I think I just asked today. I wrote up a press release for 2024. I actually just asked today if we've released it anywhere. We still have to get that out, so that will have a slew of updates in it, and like even like things if you're kind of like nerdy like me and you're interested to like, oh, that was a little bug that we fixed. That was bothering me forever. So look out for that. I'll mention it again now that someone has actually asked about it. I can kind of nudge them a little bit. But also in Smart, that question mark in the lower left corner, historically, we've kind of been pretty poor about updating that. But lately, we have been putting a lot more product updates in there. So if you click that question mark and click product updates or even any of the other things, you might be surprised to learn some information. I know I think we're putting like these meetings in there and stuff like that. So, but I will mention that to them, and I would love to get better at doing that because I like letting people know what is fixed and what we're doing. And I think some people just don't think like we're nerdy, but we're nerdy. We need to know. So.
Thank you.
Okay, and then real quick before I go over to Brian. So question in the chat. Jessica, you're asking about credit cards and debit cards, the transaction automatically if you're doing a refund. I've done this test a couple times and it doesn't, like, at no point if you're using Stripe do you have to have the person physically there in front of you, because realistically it's not your job if they paid with a card to get them the money back. You are clicking refund or pay a claim or something, and then it's on the bank or Stripe at that point to make sure the money gets where it needs to go. So if you are experiencing things like that where you're seeing that a customer physically has to come in to present their card, definitely let us know because I want to look into that for sure. Okay, and then let's go over to Brian.
Just more about the people coming in and saying that the claim was not was false. I've had that happen twice, and I've lost both times. And I thought I had I've talked to the customer. I got in writing like, "Hey, yep, this is our mistake. We thought it was fake, but it's not." And I've lost both times. Is there like a secret to to getting these things like awarded back to us?
This has actually been requested a couple times. I know if anybody's familiar with Gary or if you've talked to Gary, he wants to build a what to do or best practices. He just hasn't had the time to make a thorough enough one for, to like give to everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's been requested and it is on a to-do list or a want to-do list.
Got it.
Okay, just reading, we're moving to the end here. But I was reading that message in the chat with Jody. Honestly, I don't have the answer for you. I know that that's a tricky topic, and I would recommend reaching out to Freddie. He will be your best friend on that question. And yeah.
Just to add on that too, we have to understand that Metalgrogetti is an integrated product. So Metal has their own software and then Smart has their own software. We just decided to be friends and put it together. So there's going to be features that Smart specifically has that no other software has. That doesn't mean Metalgrogetti is going to build it into their software. So there is certain buttons and things that that you might expect a certain result out of Smart, but because you have a Metalgrogetti, it is not communicating the same way. So I highly recommend if you don't have Freddie's direct line, put in a support ticket for Freddie. He might be able to, at least talk through what is going on and then come up with a better solution or better way to do it.
Okay, and with that, we're going to go ahead and post a poll real quick. Okay, you've spoken to him many times. Okay. Yeah, okay. And we're going to go ahead and post a poll and give today's meeting a close. If you do have anything open or left unanswered, go ahead, submit a support ticket. Jessica, definitely submit a support ticket. I do want to dive into that and do some physical tests here. But yeah, thanks everybody, and hope you enjoyed the day. See you next time.